Okay, folks, we're going to do our next unit studying drama as literature, and it's really important for you to understand that there are actual other types of drama. Um, I'm mostly doing this for my own benefit as a theater person because I get really tired of people calling everything a play. Like the spring musical Mary Poppins is not a play, it is a musical. So I'm here to break this down for you. I'm clicking through my slides in edit mode because it's easier for me to play some clips for you guys, so I hope you are understanding of the way this may look. Okay, so there are different genres of literature, okay? There's nonfiction, poetry, fiction, and there's drama. So everybody understands that there are short stories and novels and there's poems and there are plays, but when it comes to actually drama, people who don't necessarily view it and enjoy it or take part in it tend to just lump everything together. They may understand the difference between looking at a book or a story or a poem, but just everything's a play. And I want you to understand if there's different types of fiction, nonfiction, and poetry, there are different types of drama. For our purposes in Literature 100, we're going to be focusing on plays. And the way plays are described is a type of drama that is very focused on dialogue and even interpersonal relationships. Plays contain many of the same elements as fiction. They have plot development, character development, their setting, which cool enough you can actually see in front of you. There's symbolism and theme and all that great stuff. So they do have that in common, but it's performed for you instead of you leisurely reading it. Plays do not contain song and dance elements. There is no break in the action in which everybody stops and breaks into a jig in a song. But that's not to say that there's never singing in a play. You may have singing in a play if you have, a church scene and the choir is singing. The singing and dancing that happens in a play is relative to the plot as a whole. It is not something that is a break in the action. Stylistically, plays are much more intimate than musicals, and they work far better in smaller performance spaces. I know that whenever I went off to college to do theater, I was shocked at how small the theaters were, but then I understood for drama, it just works better that way. Plays often have much smaller casts than musicals do, and it's even possible to find plays that are one-man shows. This is a clip from The Importance of Being Earnest by Oscar Wilde. It's a comedy, it's a British comedy. I actually think it's pretty hilarious. And you can see here how with plays, the actors have a lot of wiggle room to fill in the action that the narration doesn't have. So watch what happens in this tea scene, if I can get it to play.
May I offer you some tea, Miss Fairfax? Thank you. Detestable girl. Sugar? No, thank you. Sugar is not fashionable anymore. Cake or bread and butter? Bread and butter, please. Cake is rarely seen at the best houses nowadays. And that to Miss Fairfax.
So we see there the butler's not having any of it. This is an example of a show that has a very small cast. It actually has a fairly decent sized cast for a play, but in any given time there's not all of them on stage, so this is a very intimate scene with only 3 people. Plays can be described as one acts or full lengths. One acts are very, very short. They're anywhere from 10 to 60 minutes long. We will be reading some one-act plays. Usually if a play is over 60 minutes, it has 2 acts and is considered to be a full-length play. Most dramatic productions are broken into acts and scenes. Acts are the larger parts and scenes are like chapters. And there always is some type of rhyme and reason between breaking them. an act may be thematically or chronologically unified. It may end you on a cliffhanger at some point in the plot. Scenes are like chapters. It's within those acts that then you have a shift in time, place, or different plot elements. Musicals, however, are about music. They do contain many of the same elements of fiction like plays do, but unlike plays, there are blatant breaks in dialogue for these song and dance numbers. And in those song and dance numbers is where the bulk of the character development happens, or where even the movement and the plot happens. Like the whole opening of Hamilton, YouTube it, you can find it. The whole opening of Hamilton is your exposition. It tells the audience all about what Alexander Hamilton's life was like growing up until he got on a ship to New York City. In Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, the song Goin' Courtin' is a scene in which Millie teaches her 6 brother-in-laws how to woo a lady. This is important to the plot because they actually take her advice incorrectly and then go kidnap 6 women, but that's another story. In the musical Shrek the Musical, I Know It's Today actually condenses Fiona's plot line into one number to let the audience know how long she's been in the tower, and it also tells the audience about her irreverent personality. So let's look here about Goin' Courtin'. This blatant break in the action. She's not going to tell them how to woo a lady. She's going to sing it to them.
Going courtin', going courtin', oh, it sets your senses in a whirl. Going courtin', dudin' up to go and see a girl. Oh, it's fun to hunt and shoot a gun, or to catch a rabbit on the run. But you'll find it's twice the sportin', going courtin'.
Is this what you mean?
That's what I mean. Now there's lots of things you gotta know. Be sure the parlor light is low. You sidle up and squeeze her hand. Let me tell you, fellas, that it's grand.
Okay, this is the film version of this musical. It was the best version I could find. Fun fact, Lincoln did this in 1999. But that's an example there of just the complete break in action to sing instead. Stylistically, musicals are much bigger than plays. They have huge choruses. Literally, chorus comes from the musical term, and also in Greek theater, how they are there to support what is going on. There are exceptions, however. The last 5 years, Netflix it, it's really good. The last 5 years only has 2 people in it. Stylistically, they have bigger sets, bigger casts, and they need bigger performance spaces, so Ader Auditorium is perfect for musicals. In the world of a musical, the audience and the characters completely accept the song and dance nature. Like, they know, like, okay, everybody's going to stop and sing and dance for a while. Musicals rarely break the fourth wall. This is a term related to the way theaters are built. Breaking the fourth wall is in reference to a performance space in a traditional theater like Ader Auditorium. It's a proscenium. That opening is considered to be like this invisible fourth wall. Like, you are looking in through that wall, watching the action going on as an audience member. And the audience and the characters don't actually acknowledge one another. If you acknowledge one another, that's called breaking. That's breaking the fourth wall. The film Deadpool does this, but it's rated R. Ask your parents' permission before you see it. Fuller House. I just watched the very first pilot episode of Fuller House, and they break the fourth wall. Okay. More modern musicals and modern plays, especially if it's a comedy, will do this on purpose, but in the traditional sense, they don't. You're there to watch this world be created and built for you. Okay, operas. Unlike musicals do use dialogue between numbers. Operas are entirely sung, and most operas are in foreign languages. The reason why is because opera found its success in those countries in which the opera is sung. However, there are English operas. A really great example of a popular one is The Mikado. It was written in 1885. Like musicals, they have very large sets, very ornate costumes, and large casts and large dance numbers. If you ever hear of a show being described as a rock opera, that could be in reference to the contemporary nature of it. that I don't know how to explain it other than to say Rent. Like, Rent is a rock opera. It is all in English and it's rock and roll music, and it's entirely sung. Some have even called Hamilton as a type of rock opera, even though it's rap and hip hop based, that you could listen to the soundtrack and pretty much get the entire gist of what's going on because of how little dialogue there is. La Boheme is a classic Italian opera, and this is just a clip here of Pavarotti, one of the most famous opera singers, performing in it.
Ma per fortuna una notte di luna e qui la luna l'abbiamo vicina.
Sorry, that like doesn't do it justice at all, like showing you less than a minute of Pavarotti. But La Boheme is actually the opera that Rent is based off of. So here is the opening to Rent, which does open with exposition, giving you some background before going into the song numbers.
We begin on Christmas Eve with me, Mark, and my roommate, Roger. We live in an industrial loft on the corner of 11th Street and Avenue B. It's the top floor of what was once a music publishing factory. Old rock and roll posters hang on the walls. They have Roger's picture advertising gigs at CBGB's and the Pyramid Club. We have an illegal wood-burning stove. Its exhaust pipe crawls up to a skylight. All of our electrical appliances are plugged into one thick extension cord, which snakes its way out a window. Outside, a small tent city has sprung up in the lot
In a
next
way,
door
this is
building.
like, this whole opening is like
Inside,
breaking the
it's
fourth
freezing
wall because he's talking
because
directly
we have
to the
no
audience.
heat. Smile! December 24th, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. From here on in, I shoot without a script. See if anything comes of it instead of my old shit. First shot, Roger. Tuning the Fender guitar he hasn't played in a year. Swell tune. So we hear. He's just coming back from half a year of withdrawal. You talking to me? Not at all. Are you ready? Hold that focus steady. Tell the folks at home what you're doing, Roger. I'm writing one great. The phone rings. Saved. Rescreen. Zoom in on the answering machine. Speak.
That was a very loud beep. I don't even know if this is working. Mark, are you there? Are you screening your calls? It's Mom.
Okay, I just had to get through the voice machine because that's like for pretty much from the rest of this here, it is entirely sung. To wrap up, theatrical dance is another form of theater, and the best example is ballet. Ballets do not contain any dialogue or any singing, okay? The costuming and the sets complement the main form of the storytelling, which is dance, and two very popular, very classic examples are the Nutcracker and Swan Lake. So as such, these are not actually considered forms of literature, but I do want you to understand that they are a valid, important form of theater, yet separate from opera, musicals, and plays. So I really hope that helped you guys to understand. You can look up more videos and even look those up and watch more clips if you want to, and I'll see you in class.